I call this Washington County Board of Education meeting to order. We're going to have a prayer by Mr. Waters, and Mr. Googe is going to lead us in our pledge.
Kind, gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the beautiful weather outside and the end of the rain. And God, we just ask for many, many more warm days, God, as we go through. And Lord, tonight we specifically ask you to be with us and the decision makers of this board, God, that you'll help us with our knowledge and wisdom of things that we're deciding on tonight. Be with our communities, our schools, our teachers, our students, our parents, just everybody that's under your watch, dear Lord. And we love you and praise you in Christ's name, amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. To start our meeting, I'd like to welcome and thank Dr. Craig Shepard. He's from Green City Schools, and Mr. Tom Hager from Johnson City Schools. They're here tonight to evaluate us. Being a member of TSBA, that's one of the checklists to become a board of distinction, as you see on the walls. Just a little bit about it. To recognize outstanding performance by a board as a whole, TSB has established a board of distinction program. They're here to evaluate our board meeting tonight. So again, thank you, and we welcome you. All right, I'll turn it over to Mr. Boyd.
Certainly, we'll start the meeting out as we should and highlighting our schools and students. And Mr. Merriman from Lamar Elementary will introduce and hand over the program to students from Lamar.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Good evening, parents, students, members of the board, Mr. Chairman, and our teachers that are here tonight. I'm very fortunate to briefly introduce the amazing things that our students and our staff members, as well as our related arts team, are doing with our kids at Lamar. In addition to being recognized this year as a reward school for academic growth in our core areas, we also have other areas that we're very proud of. Our related arts teachers and our student ambassadors here today will be presenting all that we're doing and accomplishing at Lamar. We strive every day to meet our school's mission of meeting the educational needs of all students to enable them to be responsible and productive citizens. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Clausen so he can take it from there.
Good evening. As Mr. Merriman said, I am Coach Clausen. Today with me I have some student ambassadors that are going to highlight our school clubs at Lamar, extracurricular activities, as well as some family involvement nights that we've been doing at Lamar. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tristan Miracolo. He is the president of our Lego Club.
Hello, my name is Tristan Miracolo. I'm in 7th grade. Lego Club is open to any student in 4th through 8th grade. We meet every Tuesday after school from 3:45 to 5 p.m. During this time, we design and construct different projects. The latest home group project we've been working on is a small replica of Lamar School. We also have a time where students can freely build. This gives students the opportunity to create their own build that they design themselves.
Hello, my name is Samantha Bogart. I am in 8th grade. Every Friday at Lamar, FCA meets prior to the school day from 7:50 to 8:15 in the music room. FCA stands for Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Although FCA is intended for athletes at Lamar, we openly invite all 5th through 8th grade students to join. FCA is completely student-led and is helped by teacher sponsors that arrange a meeting place for us. As one of the FCA leaders, we are in charge of weekly devotions, prayer time, and guest speakers.
Hello, my name is Reese Lovelady. I'm in 6th grade. Music Club meets every Wednesday after school from 3:45 to 5 o'clock. This is a time where students explore more musical ideas than they would in the classroom. We sing, play ukuleles and other instruments, and create a welcoming environment for students that also want to challenge their musical abilities. The Music Club recently performed in our December concert, December Around the World, which highlighted the various holidays celebrated in December. Lamar had over 700 in attendance. The music club will be performing at our upcoming arts night in March. Hello, my name is Sadie Depew. I am in 8th grade. The art club meets every Tuesday from 7:30 till 8:15 in the art room. It is open to middle school students who have shown an interest in pursuing art as a career or just as an extracurricular activity. We will work on various projects that challenge us to grow as artists. The art club helps organize and display artworks for the spring art night, among other projects during the school. The yearbook staff meets every few weeks on Thursday mornings. All 7th and 8th grade students are invited to apply, but this year all our staff is 8th graders. We voted on the yearbook theme, and we have elected team leaders to help meet the goals of the club. We will design yearbook pages, distribute books, and submit photos for use in the yearbook. The staff is also looking forward to celebrating the 8th grade class by designing student ads. These feature childhood photos of an 8th grade student, along with a meaningful message from someone who loves them. Overall, we strive to include all of Lamar's amazing students in opportunities in our 2022-2023 yearbook.
Hello, my name is Kylie Nelson and I am in 6th grade. Village Club is sponsored by the Jonesboro Kiwanis Club. The faculty sponsors are Hope Schmidt, Stephanie Greenwell, and Denise Hill. We meet on the first and third Wednesday of every month. The Lamar Village Club is for students 6 through 8. We complete service projects for our school and community. Every fall, we sell many stuffed animals to raise money for our projects. This year, we raised enough money to buy Christmas gifts for 2 Lamar students. Right before Thanksgiving, we took a field trip to Walmart and purchased $200 of clothing, toys for 2 of the kids. In the spring, we show appreciation and support for our teachers for a school activity. Last year, that was coffee and donuts for teachers, and this year, we are helping advertise our math and science night. During TCAP time in 2022, Builders Club provided a note of encouragement and a piece of candy for each student in grades 3 through 8. Every day to keep TCAP testing. We plan to do that again this year.
Hello, my name is Zoe Miller. I am in 4th grade. Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at Lamar are filled with early movement. Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at Lamar at Morning Mile days. Morning Mile allows students the chance to start their day with early movement. Students can walk laps inside our halls or outside in our courtyard, depending on the weather, and earn mileage times for every 5 miles. As a school, we have walked over 500 miles.
Hello, I am Memphis Miller. I am in 3rd grade. Coming this spring to Lamar is Boys on Bikes. This is a 4 to 6 week program that will allow boys in grades 3rd through 8th to learn bike safety, maintenance, and cycling road laws. Students will build up mileage by learning everything about bikes. The community has already provided 11 bike swap programs.
Hello, my name is Madison Parsons, and I am in 6th grade. Our annual prep rally was a hit. Every year we have 6th through 8th grade compete for our school spirit banner. This year the whole school came together to cheer on their favorite middle school grade level. Our 7th grade won the banner for this year and had the most students attend the homecoming game that evening to cheer on our girls and boys basketball teams.
Hello, I'm Reese Cash and I'm in 5th grade. At Lamar this year, we've had the opportunity to have 2 dances so far. We've had the teen dance and the homecoming dance. These dances bring grade levels together to dance and have a good time. Our dances also raise money for the athletics and boosters with portions of concession sales going on to help those programs. We have a Valentine's dance quickly approaching and it's being sponsored by Lamar Cheerleaders. Also, huge thanks to Mr. Minesell who DJs all of our dances.
This year at Lamar was also our first annual Bring Your Parent to PE Day. Parents were invited in by Coach Clausen and Coach Flanagan for the opportunity to join their child during phys ed class. We had a total of 48 parents join PE class during all grade levels.
Hello, my name is Carly Roswick. I'm in 3rd grade. Our NFL night or night of family literacy and social studies was a big hit. We were able to to do a walk-through tailgate party. Favorite crowded cheerleaders came to read some of their favorite books to students. Families got to visit different booths with social studies activities, and each student left with a free book and s'mores.
Hello, I am Riley Cash. I'm in 7th grade. Our kindergarten literacy night was a wonderful opportunity to showcase the growth and learning of our kindergarten students. One of our kindergarten teachers read the night before Thanksgiving, and students sang along to different parts of the story. Our music teacher worked hard to get them ready for the musical part of the performance, where students sang multiple songs and even danced together. Families were able to enjoy the performance before they studied elements of literacy with their students. They utilized mixed pair share, one of our Kagan strategies, to learn alongside other families in attendance. This was an incredible night of learning and celebration. Lastly, coming soon will be our math and science night as well as art night. We can't wait for these events.
Hello, I'm Mr. Meisenthal. I'm the music teacher at Lamar. I'm also the Lego Club sponsor and the music club sponsor. As you can see, there are great things happening at Lamar that are helping get our families together, our students together to work and create a culture that represents our motto. I'm a Cherokee working the best that we can be. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Tristan Mirapello and Ms. Sadie Pugh up as we present 2 gifts to the board. The Lego Club made a replica of the county logo and as well as the art club.
Cool. Good job.
Very nice. Thank you all. Thank you for representing Lamar so well and sharing all the great things that are happening at Lamar Elementary School, and great to see the student involvement and the leadership that you all exemplified by being here tonight and sharing that information with us. We appreciate it. Mr. Merriman, thank you, and everyone for supporting, and parents, thank you for being here as well.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir. You jump in.
I bet y'all don't know this, but there's 3 people sitting on this board that went to Lamar. Me, Miss Buchanan, Mr. Walters. What'd you say?
Don't let that get you down.
It's all right.
It took you, what, 8 years, 9 years to get out?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm gonna push him off his back end back here. Oh, yeah.
So
hold it.
I like the attendance.
The attendance.
Yes, I like promoting attendance.
Should we hold these up?
We can. You want to get the...
You'll get the artwork in the picture.
Get it in the picture. Look better than this laptop.
There you go.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you again.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You all are welcome to stay, but if you want to leave expeditiously, you can.
It's all going to stay.
But you're welcome to stay for the meeting if you'd like. We'll give them a second.
Give Mary Beth better shot.
Better angle.
Ask how hard it was to learn to play the ukulele.
I have 2 fingers.
They should have played their ukuleles tonight.
That would have been
That would have
I don't know how to clean them out.
Yeah, I know. That's
You told them what,
You did.
where you come from.
That's what it
They're
was.
going home and doing their homework now.
I'll be an influx of transfer.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda, if I can get a motion for consideration of meeting agenda, please.
I'll make a motion that we can consider the meeting agenda.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Can we vote, please, Ms. Jennifer?
Voting's open.
Nothing yet. You got something? Man, silo? Go home.
Mr. Hammond, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Huddlestone?
Yes.
All approved.
Thank you. Next, can I get a motion for approval of meeting minutes?
Make a motion we approve the meeting minutes as reported.
Is there a second? Discussion? Let's vote, please, again, Jennifer.
Voting's open.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
All approved.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Boyd, announcements.
Yes, sir. Just to look down those announcements, highlight, of course, the 113th General Assembly is in session in Nashville, and annually the TSBA hosts a legislative and legal institute in the area to possibly discuss legislation as well as maybe meet with legislators. That is the February 15th and 17th. Everyone that signed up, I think check-in is the 15th, Wednesday the 15th. Of course, we have a meeting workshop on February 21st. The purpose of that meeting is to meet with the Lewis Group and discuss the scope of work for the safety improvements that we've identified, as well as the renovations to both high school stadiums and athletic complexes. We also have that recorded as a called meeting. In the event, through discussion, the board is in a position to consider action on any of the scope of works. So it's a workshop as well as a called meeting. Just as a reminder, February 27th on Monday is the monthly County Commission meeting. We also are looking to next month in March. The regular board meeting, March 2nd, is planned for the reception to celebrate and highlight our teachers that have been approved for tenure, that were eligible and approved for tenure. So prior to the board meeting, we have a reception planned, and then we will highlight those individuals as we begin our meeting on March 2nd. And then just to call out some student opportunities, our high school students have been selected to serve as the scope delegates in Nashville Student Congress on Policy and Education. High school students get to go and participate in mock board meetings and learn about policy and things that shape policy. And our representatives will be down there. And also those individuals will serve as next year's school board members, student school board members. And with that, that's all the announcements. And if I may, Mr. Chair, we'll roll into Superintendent's report, and we'll start out with Mr. Gooch from Daniel Boone High School to give us an update.
Here's my We Are Washington County presentation for this month.
Working for you? Is it on the side? You got green on the side? Yeah, so there we go. There you go.
There it goes. The top 10% have been announced for the high schools. Congratulations to all of these students on their hard work and accomplishments. Jonesboro Elementary's Matt Combs has been named the Principal of the Year. Congratulations to Mr. Combs. He has dedicated...
Lost you. You were sitting over here.
Congrats. He's dedicated 16 years to Washington County Schools as a teacher and administrator. On Friday, the Musket Rivals met at Freedom Hall for basketball. Boone and Crockett played there for the rivalry game. Crockett won the girls' game, and Boone won the boys' game. And it was a pretty good turnout. There was a lot of people there. It was a pretty fun event. Daniel Boone hosted a MCJ ROTC competition. It was on January 14th. It was their 26th annual invitational drill meet. It included 26 JROTC teams from a 6-state region. It is the largest of its kind in the southeastern United States. And finally, the Washington County Teachers of the Year have been announced. Tara Thompson is a 3rd grade teacher at Westview. Cheryl Honeycutt teaches 7th grade math at Ridgeview. And Amanda Elliott does special education at Crockett. Congratulations to all of these teachers for what they've done. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Great highlights. The rest are reports from enrollment updates to field trip reports that don't require board action. Just an update on the activity and maintenance for the month. Financials prepared by Mr. Hale, and our personnel report that does not require actions, as well as our updates on our grant activity. If there's any questions, I certainly will entertain those. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Can I get a motion for consideration of consent agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. There is one item on here, I don't know if we want to, what we want to do, or if anything, is on our janitorial services. That's coming up for bids, so I think that's going to be an important decision we need to make on how we do it and who we get. So I don't know if there's any, if y'all want to go into any kind of discussion about it, or wait till the bids come in, or whatever you want to do on that.
I for one want to see the bids come in, but I do hope we have a abundance of bidders this time.
I'm afraid the price is going to be, could double.
When did that go out?
We haven't sent it out yet. That's what this is.
That's what I thought.
It's approval to
It's
release the bid.
release.
Yes, ma'am.
And Brad, when does that expire, or Jared, or May 1st?
May 31st.
May 31st, okay. Other than that, that's the only thing. Any other discussion?
How long will, once the bids are released, how long are they out for?
Yeah. Well, we'd like them to be out there for 10 days, just so we.
So if we have any, they'll be available for workshop.
Yes, if we can.
So upon tonight, you'll send them out tomorrow, I take it?
That's my plan, yes, sir.
Okay.
So ideally, yes, to have what we have and receive, we can provide to the board for review, just as a workshop item.
Okay, let's vote. Jennifer, please.
Voting open.
All approved.
Thank you. Next is our discussion and presentations. Mr. Boyd, on the insurance for Daniel Boone and Ridgeview's gym floor.
Yes, sir, just to provide an update, and Dr. Adams, you can jump in at any time. But essentially, you know, we had an adjuster come out, and certainly was determined that it was to be replaced, but we hit a difference of opinion with our insurance as far as they have a comp or an estimate that was different than what we had an estimate for, and much lower. And so we're requesting to release for bid, the work to be released for bid, so we can compare, and then the board can bring back to the board and make a decision. So what we would need to do, and Dr. Adams certainly correct me, the bids come in, then we could utilize with the scope of work to use as an argument with the insurance company that their estimate was lower than it should have been, and that we're seeking them to compensate us through insurance. to replace the floors.
Do we not have a co-op?
That's what our quote came from. We were using a national cooperative purchasing contract, and the insurance essentially disputed it. They indicated they had a vendor in another state that said that they could do the work much cheaper. So for the board's process, because that person is not on a contract, then we have to bid, and they certainly are welcome to bid on it with the scope of work that we define, and it'll be what we believe should be done.
What kind of turnaround, I mean, as far as the bid wise, that just go out for 30 days, is that correct?
Not that, we don't typically leave it out for 30 days. So we'll leave it out.
We need a tight turnaround, because I know there's a lot of summer activities that happen in the gyms. So
Our goal will be, if we can, and Dr. Adams chime in, we would like to bring it back to the board by the March board meeting.
That'd be great.
Yeah, my goal is to put both the janitorial bid and the gym floor bid out, if not by tomorrow, by Thursday, so that we have those back after that 10-day period to present at the workshop. So you can, if there is a decision to be made, you can make it at the March board meeting.
Do you need a motion then to send this out for bid?
Yes, and just to be specific, this work specifically is for Daniel Boone High School gym floor and Ridgeview gym floor. The other is included in the claim for insurance, but those aren't disputed as far as the other work that had to be done at the other schools based on the weather, the damage from the freezing.
Are you ready to entertain one? I make a motion that we send out for bids the flood damage gymnasium floors for Daniel Boone High School in Ridgeview. ASCP.
Second. Motion, second, discussion. And just a little FYI, our deductible is $25,000, not $1,000 on flood damage. Is that the way
Because, yeah, we had a defined breakdown,
Right.
and because of the type of damage to the floors, because of the water, it was a different deductible than the standard.
Do Jared or Brad, y'all know, or Mr. Boyd, is that one time or is that two claims or one claim? So is it 25 or 50 on 2 floors?
All the claims for all the flooding is one claim.
Okay.
Per vent, basically.
Okay. Even though we got repairs at Crockett and.
Yeah, it's all one claim.
Okay. Anything else? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting section. All approved.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval to proceed with phase 2 of the salary study. Mr. Boyd.
Yes, sir. We already proceeded with what was phase 1, which is the very small defined group, and I authorized to proceed with that. It was an amount under 10, but to do the full scale, which would be every position, every category and position in our school system, so a full study in comparison both locally, regionally, and then benchmark nationally. So we have an idea, was an additional amount that exceeded $10,000. So this is to seek approval to proceed with phase 2 in the amount above $10,000. The total project would be $24,000 for all the complete study, which already includes the $9,500 or $9,800 for phase 1 study. So it'd be a total amount due.
I make a motion that we proceed with phase 2.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Do I have any more discussion? Hearing none, Jennifer, let's vote, please.
Voting's open. And all approved.
Thank you. Next is purchase orders. Mr. Boyd, I'll let you go over these 4 purchase orders.
Yes, sir. These are items that were discussed, and many of them, if not all of them, were discussed in the workshop. But there still was some discussion that needed to continue. so we didn't put them under consent, or we received them after the workshop. So the first item is just a purchase order, as you can see, for College Board for AP testing. It's over $10,000 required board action, and I request your consideration for approval.
Can we clump them together, or we need individual?
I would recommend let's run through them individually.
Okay. Yes. Do I have a recommendation on the
So moved.
college boards?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
So did we not have to do this for both high schools, or have we already done it for one?
This is using ESSER dollars. So that's why I asked for individual action, because of the type of funds that it is, and this is a recommendation from David Crockett to purchase these, using the funds that have been allocated to them.
Gotcha. Thank you.
For them.
Any more questions? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting's open. All approved.
Thank you. Next item, 8C2, is request approval to purchase wall pads for Boones Creek Elementary School. As far as safety item, and to cover walls for, as you can see, special education.
We have any recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting's open. All approved.
Thank you. Next item is purchasing an amount over $10,000. The revenue, the funds are through a grant, and it's for Grandview Elementary School and for social emotional learning materials for $12,402.50.
And it is a grant.
Yes, sir, it's through grant funds.
We have a recommendation?
Make a motion that we approve the use of grant funds for the learning kids.
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting's open. All approved.
Next item is for our monitoring service as far as our student use of our networks. We have several layers. We have filters. We also have specific monitoring through Gaggle. If there are key words that happen in dialogue between our students in emails or in their Google documents and chats, we get an immediate flag of various keywords that goes to administrators to act immediately. So, for example, this is the service. If there's some indication that a student might self-harm themselves, a statement, or others, then it's flagged immediately, and administrators contact us to address immediately.
And that's per year?
That's an annual subscription,
That's
yes,
what I
ma'am. Yeah, $47,725. And I ask your consideration for approval.
Mr. Chairman, would you entertain a motion?
Yes, please.
I make a motion that we agree to the purchase order 7697 for Gaggle subscription of $47,725.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Discussion?
I just had a question, just for information's sake. This would be the second year we've used this, or?
It will be moving into the second full year of use. Yes, we've had a lot. I mean, most of them, thankfully have through investigation have not risen to the level of major concern. But our administrators get a lot of notifications. Sometimes it's just inappropriate words that need to be addressed, and sometimes it results in at least a threat assessment as far as pulling in counselors and others to get with the student and family to see if there's any supports that are needed.
That's what I was, it does go back to the school and
Yes, ma'am.
administrators and get, okay, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Vote, please, Jennifer.
Voting's open.
All approved.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is D, approval of dietary budget amendment 2. Is that Brad or you? Or?
I would defer to Brad. I can answer questions, but he's certainly the expert in the room.
Dr. Adams, I know, is going to be presenting some additional equipment for dietary to purchase through the dietary fund. So in order for that to happen, that budget amendment would need to take place. So I don't know if you want to hear that presentation from Dr. Adams first, but if you approve the equipment, you'll need this budget amendment to make that happen.
Based on that, I would recommend that we move to item 8E, which is actually that request to purchase.
Okay.
And then you can maybe make a motion to act on both.
On one motion.
As long as we're clear of the motion.
Okay.
So with that, if you would like.
Dr. Adams, you want to?
Thank you. As we talked at the workshop, Ms. Shue has been doing a really good job of going through the cafeterias and looking to upgrade some of our equipment. This just merely piggybacks off of that. There are 3 pieces of equipment that are replacement equipment, and that would be the bottom 3 there, the serving line and the dishwashers at those 3 different schools. The top 3 are freezers or freezer/cooler at the for Sulphur Springs. Basically, as we discussed, that is them having the capabilities to basically store their own frozen product on site instead of it coming to one of our prep kitchens, and then we have to transport it out to a satellite site where they don't actually prepare all that food. So this is what Ms. Shue is asking for her kitchens this calendar year, and she and I have been working on a 5-year plan that is just about 95% complete, so that we can present to you hopefully at the next workshop and get approval at the next at the March school board meeting, so that you'll have an idea of how much money she's looking to spend to upgrade equipment. You have to remember, a lot of this equipment is very old. It's some of it's 20, 30 years old. And again, in the case of the freezers, those are brand new. The county's issue, or part of that, our maintenance people will pour a concrete pad and get the power ready to run to it, and then the people from the equipment company, they'll come in and place it and get it all up and running.
So on the additional cost besides that is what we're going to spend in-house?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Mr. Flamer?
There's $400,000 that's been pulled out of the capital improvements. There's already 100 in there. You're increasing it to 500, but that's only 277. Is there a reason why you're pulling 400, extra 223 out?
Brad, you may be able to help a little bit on that, but I do know when we had the money for the county, that they put all that money into it, there's a difference in the equipment costs and installation, so we had to pick that up somewhere. We kind of rolled that in to her fund balance as well to cover a lot of that cost. As you well know, everything we do today, it costs more money than I thought it was going to a month ago. It doesn't matter what it is we're trying to buy. So, Brad?
Yeah, so the additional amount, there was an upgrade to Daniel Boone kitchen, it was about $167,000. A big portion of that was taken out of the county education capital fund last year. Didn't come in time as far as the work they did not carry that over. So we ended up having to front the full bill for that $167,000. Supposed to have been for last year, it didn't make it, so it wasn't budgeted in her budget this year. So this 400,000, just 167 plus, I think it's 270 or 280 that you got. In addition to some things she's got this year, so when it's all said and done, that 167 plus this 280, that'll give her a little bit extra in case there's any more surprises, maybe 40,000 extra. So 280 plus 167, you're up about 450 almost right there. So that's why that's in there. That was just something that did roll over the county education capital plan to this year.
Mr. Irvin?
I'd like to know exactly what the equipment's gonna cost instead of an estimate price. I mean, $30,000, $32,000. I mean, where are we getting these prices at? Is it?
If you go back to the, there should be on this a link to the actual quote.
The next.
It may be this one, right?
It's just next one down. The second one.
Right, so you see that?
I'll do it. Which one?
I'll tell you what, you work it from up there, because it's hard to see.
Which
All
one?
right, so let's scroll up, straight up on this one. Let's see where we're at. So here's a dishwasher conveyor type. There's what they're pricing it to us as, is $27,569.34. Let's keep scrolling up a little bit more. Here's the installation cost, a total of $7,153. So if you scroll up a little bit more, you may need to go, sideways. So there's the refrigerator installation is at $17,000. There's the total of everything, $267, $442, $40.
And Dr. Adams, that's turnkey with the installation cost built in
for the
as demonstrated. That's the cost.
Right. There, once they get in there, there might be an issue. We may have to move some electricity around in a certain kitchen, but for the most part, it is turnkey.
That'll be our team doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you're $10,000 more? You're asking for $10,000 more then?
I'd have to look at all that. I'm not sure if that's the total, if there's more cost on that.
Brad, what is it? You know? Is it $10,000 more, or is it, where we're
Can we go up?
I mean, on these, I just took the estimate for my budgeting purposes, so Dr. Adams just had one of these quotes.
I want to say this is over. Trying to find the bottom of page 99.
Hold on one second.
That's $22,000.
Not this one.
Other equipment that's in there. I was thinking that $299. I'm showing $277.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just had a quick clarification. It's coming out of her dietary budget, or?
All of it is, yes, sir. It's her fund balance, which is really healthy, and that's what I indicated to her. If these upgrades can be done, I recommended that she do it through the fund balance and make that request for the board consideration.
The fund balance amount, but just for.
What's her fund balance?
It's hovering around 2.8 to 2.9 based on the most recent trustees report. That's unreconciled. That'll be close.
Ms. Wayne?
Thank you.
For essence of time and just some more clarification, can we not kick this back to the workshop this coming month?
Well, we've got the prices of everything. I'm supportive of giving $267.42, $442, and go on with it. But I mean, I want the price. I don't want an estimate or whatever.
Ms. Holstein?
Installation. That's them doing.
That's everything right there. $267,
We can't do that
$442.
ourselves. Does that avoid the warranty of the products if we did it ourselves?
It's a very intricate piece of machinery, and we feel more comfortable with those people who know exactly what they're doing. It takes a lot of work to put that in there and make it work.
I would not
precisely.
recommend that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess my only question is, we're showing $299, $340.65 on the agenda, and you're showing $277, then we got a $267. I guess where did we get the $299, $340.65 figure from?
Figures don't match.
I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I know It may have been based on the quote that we had, and then once we actually, he gave her an email saying it's going to be approximately this, and then when we asked for the actual quote, this is what came in.
Mr. McGinn?
So this quote was done in November, is it still good?
Yeah, Kevin Horn and Trimark, they work really well for us, that they do a lot of work for a lot of different school systems. They understand the process that we have to go through presenting and voting and things like that. So yeah, that quote is still good.
Ms. Walters?
I also asked that it go back to our workshop so we could pick this apart and find out what everything is, and I don't want to be voting on a bunch of money that I don't know what is.
You want to put that in form of motion?
I'll make a motion that we put this off in this board meeting to the next workshop so we can have some open discussion and look at some black and white paper.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
So I have a question. So if we move forward and amend the amount to what's on here, and we proceed like that,
Of the 267 figure?
267, 442, 40.
We still have two different figures.
Yeah. But, I mean, is this the figure?
That is the actual quote that we received in November, yes.
Can we not just amend the figures to meet the quoted figure and move forward?
There's a second piece as well. What I mentioned with the county capital plan, there was an amount that we thought was being covered there that needed to be covered there.
That's for the budget amendment.
Yes, yeah, that's separate from.
This is for the purchase.
Yeah. So,
That's up, I mean, we've got a motion, we've got a second, we're in discussion. If you want to amend it and see if we get a second, then we can vote, or majority of the board.
Is this going to put us off, or are they going to keep?
Our goal was to have it all in place before the start of school. I don't know the timeline. In terms of if we push this off until sometime in March, I feel pretty good that they probably get it done, but I don't want to guarantee that.
But I see what Mr. Earl is saying. We go with the minimum amount. If we have to make an adjustment later, we could possibly look at that. Is that what you're?
Yeah, just to proceed with the equipment. I'm sure they need it. And we'll delay in this time, things that get delayed, you don't know if you're going to get it. So it's sometimes better to move forward with that projected amount, and then we can discuss the other maybe separately, so we all understand it.
Okay.
So even if this, your concern, it won't be ready to go by the start of the school
That's
year.
my concern with this, about everything I bring to you anymore.
Right.
I'm not sure when it's going to happen. So, but I don't say that to put any pressure on y'all. You do what you feel, seriously do what you need to do. But the quicker we can get things ordered and get the ball rolling, the better we feel about stuff getting here.
Okay, we have a motion.
Could you also maybe at our workshop bring the delivery costs of what we pay to deliver on a daily basis to these other schools, the frozen foods?
I can have Ms. Shu work that out. Yeah, I think she can figure that out.
Okay, or maybe do a monthly or something like that,
Yeah.
just to kind of show us
Sure.
where we're at. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Will you state the motion again, please, Jennifer, so we know what we're voting on?
To postpone until the workshop, next workshop.
Does everybody understand what we're voting on? All right, let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting is open. Motion carries with 3 noes.
Okay? Just make sure we have it on our workshop agenda, please. Okay, so we don't need to do an amendment to the budget, do we?
Not at this time, no, sir.
Okay. Next is the county educational captive projects plan.
Yes, sir. Again, as far as the order, the board may want to consider, this would be, if the board approves the request to purchase buses as presented, we would have to adjust the 5-year plan because the amount exceeds the items that have been approved in that line for the 5-year capital plan for this year.
And I think we'll discuss that on L, is that right?
Have you said anything to the commission about this, or the budget committee, that they approved this purchasing the buses? Now the prices of buses has went up and we still got to have them.
Right.
So,
I mean, there's really no need to until we bring to them an adjustment, because we would have to pull money from another line, and the board would have to adjust to match the amount. So if the board approves it, then I would go through the HUE and the budget committee and the full commission to get that approval.
okay, well, I just wanted to make sure, because they was purchasing the buses. The
Exactly,
county was.
at per hour request, yes, sir.
Well, it was not our request. Well, I guess it would be, but still, they was purchasing them to keep from having to share
Right.
with Johnson City.
And they still will, yes, sir.
Okay.
We would just have, you know, for this fiscal year, and what's on the board there, as I'm pointing to, we have $460,000 identified for bus purchases through the county's fund.
Yeah.
And the amount that we have in front of you for approval to purchase buses exceeds that. We would have to look at other items, and the board would, if you all made an adjustment, we'd have to add that to the amount so that we have enough money to purchase the buses as presented.
But what I'm saying, wouldn't the county have to make that adjustment, not us? Because we would not be paying for them.
But they would not make that adjustment unless the recommendation to change this approved budget comes
Because
from
they've
the
got
board.
460, and I think
Yeah.
it comes to 600 or something. That's the reason why it had been brought back to us.
Yeah, so we would have to receive approval from HUE and the budget committee and the commission, but it would be initiated by the board requesting to move some funds to different items on the budget to pay for it. Yes, sir.
Ms. McCann.
So the buses that we have on this list, are we having to replace that many buses this year?
It's part of our schedule. It's our
It is our
schedule,
schedule.
and because of increased costs,
I didn't know if some of them fell short of being retired or whatever with their mileage or.
No, I mean, it was just based on our 5-year schedule. So we were up for a certain number each year. We're trying to meet that schedule. You know, if each year, if we don't, we get, you know, it'll be a year where we'll be looking at 10 to 15 buses, and we want to avoid that.
We had 5 on this year's budget.
Yeah.
So this is necessary.
Just stay, it's important to stay on it, if not exactly, but very as close as we can to our schedule.
Okay.
And we will know what to do on that until we see what we do in the buses, correct?
Right, just what, we put it here to bring attention that it would require an adjustment to our approved 5-year capital plan, in particularly this fiscal year. Because we only have $460,000 that the county would use to purchase buses with, that the board approved. So,
So to make up the deficit there, we would be requesting, would that be made up with fund balance, or would
No.
that be from the educational capital fund?
the recommendation would be to move funds that have been designated for other projects into there to cover the cost. Yes, sir.
Okay, G, purchase of access control system for exterior doors, Telva Optics, in the amount of $566,440. It's, I think we touched on it last board meeting, and it was brought back to us for approval or not. Mr. Fleener?
Can I ask that this, make a motion that this be postponed to the workshop in light of last night's Governor Lee's State of the State address? You know, was talking about $200 and some million for safety projects, and plus the Lewis Group is coming back this next month to talk about some more safety stuff. So I just not put the cart before the horse, and let's just wait and discuss all one time if we could.
Is that in form of a motion?
Yes, please.
Is that a motion, second? Discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting's open. All approved.
Thank you. Next is the purchase of the land adjacent to David Crockett High School. I think you're asking 20,000 per acre, acreage to be determined after the survey is completed. I think we touched on it last board meeting, and it's brought before us for a motion if we want to proceed or not.
So how many acres did we haven't decided?
We have not decided until, according to this, till we have it surveyed.
Oh, that's what to be determined.
I'd like to proceed just for safety reasons for that school.
Is that a motion?
That's in the form of a motion.
Is that a second?
Second.
Discussion.
How many acres are available?
65 total, I think, wasn't there? Or
What we were looking at is around 20, up to 20-ish. And
Of the
plus or
65.
minus. He has a good bit of property there, but the useful portion to us would be somewhere around 20.
It would keep us from being landlocked. It would keep us from people building right over top of the school. That would give access directly to school grounds.
Whoever owns it, they're in agreement with us only taking 20 of it?
I think it's flexible. We can take a look at it, get it surveyed, and mark out the exact points and things. So yes, they can provide that.
Well, I have a hard time supporting it. I'll just tell you, I can't. That school's got more property around it than any school we've got. I just have a hard time supporting taking roughly $400,000 fund balance to purchase it. If it was another school that didn't have no property around it, I'd say yes, get it. But that school's got lots of property.
How much property?
That's sitting there, that's not being used. 20 acres.
Is that in the back or?
No, that's in the front, 15 to 20. I mean, if we ever did want to add on to that school, we could take up the parking lot and move the parking lot across the creek if it ever come to the point that we needed to do something. But
you know how many acres across the creek?
base probably,
Talking about that soccer field or
the
that
soccer
once
field,
upon a
the
time,
woods, up
like
on top of the hill.
Approximately 5 acres. And then that hillside that Mr. Urban's talking about, yeah, that's approximately 20 acres, but it's not. It's
Buildable.
not buildable.
Is that where the shed is at?
Yes.
One time.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's on the
okay.
northern part of
That's where I
that.
stopped.
And then you got a field in the back behind it. There's about 4 acres in it. There's about 2 acres up on the very top that's not wooded, but I mean, you know, woods can come out. That ain't no problem.
My thought on this, and I understand what you're saying, Mr. Irving, but we had an opportunity years ago to buy land beside Daniel Boone, and did not. And we're hurting up there. So anytime you have an ability to buy property beside you, that's good property, lays good, easily buildable, you know, you almost have to. It's worth more to us than it is anybody, honestly, the property is. I mean, it's good flat land, it's easily buildable. Do we use it for anything? We may not, but if you want to, you know, for future expansion of schools, you could build a middle school on it at some point. You could expand your technology there. You know, it just lays good with the property and be easily developed and built if we had a need for it in the future. We probably gave $40,000 an acre for the last property we bought. So this is half and half. So from a value standpoint, it's a good value and it's very good land. So
Whitney, I don't think part of the property that he's wanting to sell is down at the ball fields and I know the hayfield and stuff that you're talking about, but, you know, part of that property's not built for anything for us, behind the ball fields and stuff. That's,
the only
you know,
thing you gain down there is access. to
but you're
property.
you're buying property, $20,000 an acre that's worth 3 or 5 or whatever. That's the,
Mr. Hammonds?
I was just gonna say, we're just, to clarify, gonna do a survey, we're not committing to 20 acres. And you stated.
He's flexible on the amount
So
we
it could be
buy.
5 acres.
Yes.
And we can determine what to, if we pass this after the surveys, if we want to purchase 5, 10, 15, 30, 40, 50, you know, whatever we want.
So are we just making a motion to proceed with the survey,
With the survey, yes.
not to purchase the land at this time? Okay.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting's open. It carries 1 no.
Thank you. Next is I, purchase furnishings for the new Jonesboro Elementary, funded by the sale of Boone Street property not to exceed 1.54 million. We discussed this last meeting, and it's brought before us for a motion to move forward on.
I make a motion that we purchase furnishings for the new Jonesboro Elementary School, funded by the sale of Boone's Creek Middle property not to exceed $1.54 million.
A second.
Discussion.
Just to be clear, that includes IT infrastructure in that 1.54 million amount.
Yes.
The way that's set now, just to clarify.
Yeah, FF&E, I guess.
Has it been seconded?
Yes.
I'd like to amend that motion if I could. To correct this, we go with the 1.54 million for furniture and IT infrastructure for Jonesboro Elementary School. The remaining $331,750 from the sale of the old Boones Creek Middle School will be restricted to be used towards the new Jonesboro Elementary School project.
Project or playground?
Project. We have amendment to the motion. We have a second.
Second.
Now, discussion on that.
So the next one is the 300,000 that's going to Jonesboro. Can that money be used toward that?
If this board wants to, yes. What Brad is saying, the total of the sale has to go to the project of Jonesboro.
Correct.
We committed 1.54 of that, and 331 and some changes left. That has to be earmarked for the project at Jonesboro.
Okay, so my question is then, this 31 that's left, because there was a few things on the list that they would like, would that be put up in that 1.54 million?
It very well could be, whatever the board wants to do.
Well, I know what you're talking about, but I'd like to amend that, what he said, and put the 331 for the playground equipment.
Playground's next.
Well, that's on another,
Well, okay, then we'll use that 331 for the playground.
we can.
But the 331,750 is restricted to
To Jonesboro.
project, and the playground is part of the project.
So yes, we
Well, I
can.
mean,
So
it's going to the project. I mean,
Yeah, and that'll have to be a separate motion because that's a separate item on the agenda. So right now, we're just doing the FF&E, and then the next one will be the playground.
Okay, but the fact is that, what I'm saying is the 300,000, that's just to match their funds for their grant. So,
towards the project.
towards the project. Okay, towards the
That's
project.
1/3 of the cost, is basically what it amounts to.
And our classrooms could use the 31.7 that's left. Right. For what's left off of the list.
Yes.
If that's what we choose
That's-
to do with it. I would recommend what would be best, of course, we know that would be there and have some specific items with the amounts associated with it to come back
For the
and
30.
access that
Right.
30.
Does that stay in our hands?
Yes, it's in the board restricted fund balance.
We just have to earmark it for a certain item. That's all we're doing right now.
Just tell me that.
Well, that's, my understanding of Mr. Little's motion is to ensure that everyone's clear that the total amount of the sale, the proceeds, must go to the Jonesboro project. Of course, the board still directs, within our obligation through the interlocal agreement with the town of Jonesboro and the county for the project, but
for example, the remaining amount at 31,000, if that's there, and we come back and we say we need to add more for more furniture, then you would authorize the purchase of that furniture using the amount, and it would meet the agreement because it's part of the price structure.
So basically, we're just doing a housekeeping issue from where we made more money from the sale of the school.
And what we were obligated by the.
And we can decide what to do later, we just need to move it over to this pot of money.
But
Yes, sir.
everybody forgets that it costs them more money to purchase the equipment, the furnishings.
Either way, you still have to move that.
I understand that, but we still got to look at that.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Okay, we have a motion to amend. Let's vote on the amendment first, please. This is the amendment to the motion. No, we're voting on his amendment to the motion to earmark the money, is all we're doing.
The amendment carries.
Now, let's vote on the motion as amended.
Voting's open.
Clear as mud.
All approved.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if you would
Yes.
provide an opportunity, Dr. Adams has, per our request for mine and your, and the board's, kind of highlighted, just so you see the furniture, the package, you know, just so you see a visual, so if you give them a few moments to just kind of share with you what the team, the teachers, and everyone involved in.
At the workshop, we had presented a budget of like, I think it was $1.115 million for furniture, and then at the request of some board members, we went back to add in some of the stuff that we took out. So there's about 7 slides here. So this is the furniture they've picked out for the reception in the main office area. Of course, there's lounge chairs for the people waiting. The ignition task chairs will be the ones that the receptionists and people, the bookkeeper and stuff sit at. There's a 3-seat lounge for when parents come in and they're sitting and waiting. We'll go to the next slide. This is the main office desks. A lot of this, if this is very familiar, this is the same furniture that we've purchased for people in this office. Again, the ignition task chairs, different guest chairs. These click task chairs are at the conference room. There's a hospitality credenza, and there's a couple of the conference tables. Next slide, please. For the classroom furniture, different types of seating requested by different teachers in different grade levels, so you can see the different types of seating. Ruckus chairs. This horseshoe table goes with this. I don't like the word, but they call it a poof chair. And it's basically, we'll go in here and the teacher can come in and sit on it, and it's not something that rolls around, and they use that for when they pull small groups out. Here's the teacher desk that you were looking at. The teachers really liked it. It had the file cabinets on both sides. The different types of book shelves. These are those classified cube storage that we talked about at the end of those, each little pocket of desks. Next slide. So the confetti lounge seating. As a first grade teacher, Ms. Dellinger, you'll appreciate this. These are like, they're little lounge seating. Basically, they're about this thick, and they go on the ground so when the kids sit for story time and things like that, they have a place to sit on. We have some for the upper grades. They're having, I think I told you, they're like stadium style seating, lower high like that. So this is the type of SmartLink stool that we'll be having in those classrooms. Next one, please. Here are some of the things that we added back. This was the teacher, they call it the command station. This was to be situated behind the teacher's desk. You can see it has a place for some of their personal items, work items, and then they have a little cubby here for them to put their pocketbook, hang a coat, umbrella, things like this. These Tangram, they call it a lounge seating, but it's multi-level seating. If you've been to Ridgeview, they have a product like this in a couple other classes. It's basically hard surface where the kids you can sit on this level, you can sit up on that level, and so to add these back in every teacher's classroom was a total of $53,703. To put the Tangram lounge seating back in the grades that asked for it as an additional $78,579. And then to put the classified cube storage, basically each grade level asked for different numbers. Some wanted 4, some wanted 6, and we cut that in half to get the cost down. So to put those back in there, to put it back at that size is $106,000. And then if you go to the next slide, here's an idea of what it kind of looks like in a K3. So you'll have the chair, there's the poof and the table. These cube storage are at the end of each one of these sets of 4 desks. You can kind of see a little bit different a view right there. And then the next slide kind of shows you a 4th, 6th grade look where, again, they're having this cube storage here for the classrooms, and they're able to put those together, pull them out in small groups. And then the next one is the 7th, 8th grade. That really shows how we're going to use the stadium seating with the tangram, so that they can look cascade down to the teacher. Here's the cafeteria furniture that we picked out. Different styles of seating, tables for the the students in there. Gives them a lot of different options how they can sit, where they can sit. And then the last
all 3 of those are is going to be in the cafeteria.
Yeah, all of this is what's going to be in the cafeteria. For the media center, we've got these style of bookshelves for the books, some comfortable seating, some tables in between those ruckus chairs, and then this modular lounge kind of snakes together through the center of it.
Can you go back to the cafeteria? Why would we put different seating in the cafeteria?
Aesthetically, as we looked at other schools as they update their cafeteria, it gives it a more homey feel where you have different options where you sit, and it's not so institutional where you've got all these rows of cafeteria tables. It gives students options so where they can sit more with their friends instead of, in your first grade in the old days, whoever you got stuck in line next to, who you sat next to. This gives kids a little bit more options in how to sit, where to sit.
Can you go back to that other one, the first 1 or 2? I wanted to. Okay. Okay, we're going back. Nope.
To the classroom, Ms. Dillinger?
Yeah, yeah, no, keep going to the next one. I'm sorry. Okay, the lounge, no, I'm sorry, keep going. The command station where they have their, if you'll go to the next one, if they don't have that, from what I've understood, that's what that is. That means they're going to be at their table and they're not going to have anywhere to store their materials, right? That means we're getting up and going back and forth to their, if we don't have something like that, they're going to be up and down the whole time.
Yeah, that's the purpose of that command station for the teachers.
That's something I think
it's their stuff.
Does everybody see what they're doing? They're going to be there, and they're not going to have their materials. I'm sorry, what?
They look like they're sitting still right there to me.
No, I see.
Oh, because they got one.
If you go to the very last slide, just so you can get an idea, when we first came in, it was $1,110,000. To add all these additional things back in, it was an additional $239 for a proposed final cost of $139.49. The reason I'm presenting this like this is, our ask is that we at least get a vote if we can purchase this, because I really need to get some purchase orders working so that we don't run up against the March 1st 5 to 7% increase for the HON furniture. HON is the company we're buying a lot of that from, and they're having a 5 to 7% price hike come March 1st.
So you're saying 1.349202.80?
Basically, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. And that gives back just about everything that the teachers asked for that we took out.
I make a motion
to get it more manageable.
Support.
Discussion. We have a motion and a second discussion.
Can you go back to the cafeteria? All I see out of that chair and that table right there is it going through there in a fight and hurting a bunch of kids. You can't do that to them other tables. Ain't nobody gonna lift that. If so, we need to enter them in a strongman contest. but I see that table and that chair going through the air, and I'm safety, safety, safety all the way.
You mean the cafe table?
The cafe table with the chair. If it be uniformed and we had, bench seating like that where you can't, I know it may not be as homely as, the coffee shop.
Well, I could support maybe one or two for the teachers to sit at.
Well, I'm just afraid if that thing ain't bolted down, and you can't bolt a chair down because they're gonna have to move it around to sit. I know when I went to school, and it's a lot worse than it is then, now, as far as people fighting, and you gotta think about every corner. You gotta travel around every corner when you're trying to get this stuff.
The octagonal table will still be off. I mean, it's not gonna be something that you can pick up.
Right, but I'm just saying,
You're talking
the only thing I'm worried about is the right top, the chair and the little cafe table. The only thing I'm worried about. If they lift these, then we got a superstar on our hands.
Mr. Riddle?
So from a budgeting standpoint, will we still have enough money for the rest of what we need to pay for out of the 1.54 million? If we spend 1.3 on this? Isn't that why we reduced it to start with to the 1.1 million? Is that correct?
The answer would be, we would have enough, but then your next item that you're looking at, the contribution to the grant for the playground, you would not have enough from the proceeds of the Biggs Creek Middle School to cover all of those expenditures.
We would have what?
How short would it be?
Well, if you look at it the way we got it kind of presented, we've got 71,000 and change left out of the sale for Boots Creek. That's all we got left. If we move forward with the playground at 300 and we do the 154 for the FF&E. Is that right, Brad? 71,000 or something left?
Well, if you go 154 plus 300, you've only got 31,000.
Okay.
For anything else you want to do, if you do the 300 for the play.
So if we go with the additional 239, that has to come from where?
Your school fund balance, if you do the 300 for the playground, less the 31,000 you have left.
So do we have a figure on technology? We have to buy the technology.
It's figured in that 154.
Is that in?
Is that correct, Mr. Boyd?
And we don't have a clue what that's gonna cost yet.
Well, we know that the projection from the Jonesboro project, that,
How much,
as far
do you remember?
I mean, that's why we targeted 1.54 million.
So
That's
is-
what the board has been obligated to based on the project budget.
So the 1.1 was enough to say, put back,
For the furniture.
and then was the other 400,000 supposed to be for
Technology.
technology, or,
Other
so the
items.
300 wasn't even in that $400,000 left?
Mr. Osstone?
Dr. Adams, the cafe tables, do we have those in any of our other schools?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, one of the reasons that we wanted to look at something like that is besides that stage, it's a lot more inclusive. We do have some severe special education students at the Jonesboro schools. Gives them an opportunity to come, if they're in a wheelchair, to sit at an actual table, not have to sit at the end of a table or be shoehorned in. It makes them have an opportunity to sit at the table with some of the other students in the classroom. They're not really peppered throughout there. It's a smaller section. I think there might be 6 or 7 of those in the entire cafeteria, but don't quote me. I haven't looked at that plan in a little bit.
Several schools have the one with the industrial, like he mentioned. Yeah.
Mr. Flame?
Stationary.
I want to say, I'm worried about a couple of things and a couple of comments, but the cafeteria seats up there at 312, and the school's built for 1,000. If there's 3 lunches, like most schools have, it'd just be 936. Is that,
4 lunches are programmed.
4 lunches?
Yes.
Would we be better off? I mean, if we don't use the cafe tables because of safety reasons, I mean, and we just need to spend the 1.1 million, it sounds like to me, but that's just a comment.
Or can we buy less tables and have 2 of them reserved for special handicapped area? And just leave those tables for the needs of those children?
Mr. Irvin?
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that I'm gonna support finding us $360,000 on this deal. Because we spent $364,000 to tear down Boone's Creek. And I feel like we need to take that money out of what we spend out of our fund balance for the tear down and use that money to take care of the rest of the expenses instead of the 1.5. You see what I'm saying?
I thought we did take it up.
We're gonna
We did, we took the cost of the,
tear down.
yes, out of fund balance to do that.
So I want to put that back in.
Out of the 1.8,
Yeah. And then we'll use it for the playground. You see what I'm saying?
but that's basically what we're doing. We're just not.
Well, I
On
mean,
paper, we're not showing it that way.
we need to show it because the commission or the budget committee or whatever, you see what I'm saying, the way this deal went down and what they done 2 weeks ago or last week. I feel like we need to stand our ground.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
What was the motion?
The motion was to,
Mr. Combs had a comment.
oh, I'm sorry.
I want to speak to the cafe tables. I understand your concern 100%. I get that. But one of my vision with that would be to work with my student advisory council. We're setting up some cafeteria expectations, and that area, it's just one area of the cafeteria, and it would be more on a rotation basis that students would earn the opportunity to sit in that area based off of their meeting the expectations while they're in the cafeteria. So it wouldn't be just a free-for-all, everybody go and grab a seat. That section would be more of a reserved as a reward for positive behavior, if that makes sense.
Well, how many tables are you talking?
I think there's 6 or 7.
That's what I would call.
So you're gonna have more of the grade, the table looks like it was made on Monday mornings here.
I mean, ultimately, in order to fit the 312 in there, and I have worked a lunch schedule already that we can get all K through 8 students through the cafeteria with their allotted amount of time with that number. But in order to get that number, of course, we had to have some high-density seating peppered in throughout there. But I just thought that little cafe area would be kind of a nice little perk for our students and an opportunity for them to feel more relaxed while they're eating.
That's a great idea.
And I will say, I deal too much with student behavior when it gets to this level, and I don't have anything with somebody throwing a chair. I just don't.
I just wanted to put it on record.
I know, put it on record, right. But,
They're very observed and very.
Realizing, I know this is time sensitive, I would ask the board to consider, since we are advertising the workshop as a call meeting, that this be brought back with a specific action item request, and the board consider that at the February 21st item. If it is approved at that point, I think we still can meet the mark to get the order in. But I think a little more detail and opportunity for the board to each individual member to think about it and be prepared on the February 21st meeting to consider action items, if the board agrees to that.
I'm happy with it tonight too, but.
You all, of course, that was just my comment. You all can make the decision as you see fit.
Do you want to withdraw the motion? Or we can vote on it as presented?
I don't want to withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Who seconded that? Was that?
I did.
Okay, Ms. Dillinger seconded that.
Well, no, it's Vince Walters, I did another one. No, sorry, never mind.
Okay. And what we're voting on
I
is...
said 1.349.
Yes. Total for the FF&E,
Yes.
not counting Okay, yes.
Basically just for the furniture.
Just for the FF&E only.
Because this is your all's original plan to begin with, so I know you're happy with
Well, you know, the original estimate in the project estimate, around $900,000 was identified for furniture. That was several years ago, and in addition to the increased cost over the last several months. So it aligns if you look at the increased cost. But what I'm most supportive of is this is what's been developed by the team from the faculty and the staff and others involved. This is a recommendation they bring forward.
We've already voted on 154. So his motion is for the 239-202. Just to clarify, Keith's motion is to spend the additional 239-202-88. We've already voted on the 154 for that. So Keith's motion is to spend the additional 239
For this.
for this. And who was did you second that? Did you second?
I did.
Okay, you second, okay. Keith made the motion, Ms. Dillinger seconded. Pardon?
And the 239 comes from?
It'll have to come from what's after the 1.8, but then we got the additional playground equipment that does come out. So in order to fund this, it'll have to come out of fund balance. One of the two will have to come out of fund balance.
So my only concern with all this, and I'm for furnishing it most we can, but I think we're getting above and beyond the budget for all this.
I agree, especially when we're going to throw another 300,000 for
Yeah, 'cause that's
playground.
next
So
on
it's
the
500 and some thousand. Now all of a sudden, we're over the 1.54 that we got in there, about $100,000 more, or actually $200,000 more. So, I mean, I'm sure that 239,000, you know, is some things that we may need that may be good things, but still, I mean, we've got to. I don't want to open up a school without a playground. So the playground to me is more necessary than the $239,000 of wants, is my opinion.
Okay. Mr. Walton?
And I also am concerned about the rest of the schools in our county. Do they have all this nice stuff? Do they have the equivalent of this nice stuff? I know it's a new school, but, you know, we've got to be equal across the board.
Every time we've opened a new school, all of them are supplied with all of the new. I mean, that's what's happened. We didn't go when we've opened up Grandview and Ridgeview and go around and give everybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wasn't here for that. That's why I was
I'm
making
just
the
saying,
statement,
yeah.
you know, are we doing this for everybody else?
Mr. Irvin?
We got 1.8 out of the sale of the school, okay? We spent 1.3 so far.
We've spent 1.54 of what we spent right now.
Where is the other 200,000?
The other 331,000 is set aside earmarked for Jonesboro project. We can spend it ever how we want, but it has to be on a Jonesboro project.
Oh, I understand that, but we've spent 1.3 plus 300 more thousand?
For technology. 154 is what we voted on just a minute ago to spend. Total. That's for the furniture and technology.
So this right here price does not have nothing technology in it?
No, sir.
Mm-mm.
This is all.
That's just furniture only.
The additional 239,000 is additional furniture.
We spent was 1.110 for furniture out of the 154, then the balance of that is for technology. So what they're saying is if we go to what the additional furniture is, we've got to spend another 239 to do that. And that's what you made a motion to do.
Then we've got to add technology on top of that.
Oh, yes, on top of, yes.
So that figure is 1.5 something, right? The technology figure. How much is the figure for technology with the 1.3?
It is.
Brad, can you?
You would add the 239 to the 1.54, so you're at 1.7.
$440,000 is technology.
239 is just furniture.
The 239 is just the additional furniture.
That's the extra wants.
That's the extra one.
Well, I wanted to ask Mr. Combs if there was something out of those three that you would want to put as a priority, if we could, at this time.
I mean, the priority, I think I would say it's prioritized in the way it's listed out. I think the classified cube storage is a necessity.
I think so
And then
too.
going from there.
So could we add that
Well,
and then possibly look at the others later?
I'm gonna withdraw my motion,
You withdraw your second?
Yes.
Okay.
and we'll discuss
Leave a
it
second.
at the thing, because I want to know the figures of everything, what it's costing.
Okay.
Now,
Wait.
when we get to the next part on this 1.8, I want that money, I want what we paid and tearing it down. Because that would be, how much? 300 and some thousand?
360 or something.
And then,
Okay, Mr. Beginning.
So the concern is, and we've heard it several times, is this price is going up. So right now, if we do not approve the base pricing without the add-ons, the 1.1,
We've already
we've done that?
We've already done that.
This is just
This is the add-on.
the add-ons.
If we present it at the workshop, which is also a called meeting, if you voted on it, then we still have time to lock the price in. Because that's February 21st.
So basically, on the 21st, he's going to represent this additional to us. Basically, all he's going to do. We've done voted on the 1.1.
That is done, that can be purchased tomorrow, correct? That's all.
So you need a
concerned
motion
about.
to table this until the 21st? No.
I'm just gonna say we find money for everything else in this system, and I refuse to support a new school without a playground day one. But I kind of look at technology as operational from year to year. I know it's capital, setting it all up, but in essence, technology is it's operational from year to year. But I'll respect the board's wishes and wait till the workshop.
Okay.
And I think these teachers and Mr. Combs have spent, I don't know how much time looking over, and they've gone to Boones Creek, they've seen what they have. They want updated. Everything at Boones Creek is new. Well, it's 3 years old now, but that's, I feel like that's only right. I mean, they've poured over everything they need, and I already, just looking at it, could see that there's obviously the one class of 5 cubic storage is a necessity. I mean, they're calling it that, but,
Well, that makes Boyd say, let's sleep on it. We'll bring it back
I'm
21st.
fine with that.
And then we can kind of decide what we're going to do from there.
Okay.
I've had a request for a 5-minute break, please. I call the board meeting back to order. Next on the agenda is J, approval to commit $300,000 for playground equipment at the new Jonesboro School, contingent upon town of Jonesboro receiving the grant to fund the playground project.
So do we,
Make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
All right, discussion?
do we know how much Jonesboro the grant's gonna be?
They have stated, Dr. Adams has the exact amount.
900,000, they're asking for over $900,000 for the 3 playgrounds around the school. And our part of that is $300,000 to match their ask.
So for clarification, that doesn't then equal 1.3 million or 1.2 million, excuse me, but it's a match of the $900,000 total grant, right?
The way Mr. Browning explained it to me, they're trying to do the concession stand, the press box, and some other field things. My understanding is they're asking for $1.8 million to do the entirety of the complex, with a 50% match being $900,000 from the town, of which they're asking us to put in $300,000 toward their $900,000 match. And they're going to use some land and other things as a match toward that, their total of the $900,000.
Could you just clarify that one more time for us, all the things that this grant is inclusive of? It's not just for a playground, it's for other areas around the school that they can use it for. Can you
Yeah.
clarify all the items they're going to use this for?
Bathroom construction, concession stand, press box, and they actually have the architect drawing that up now, and it's probably going to be one building with multiple bathroom stalls in each bathroom, concession stand, a ticket box, and then an upstairs press box. The playgrounds, of course, and some of the other field things that they're wanting to put there as part of the town, as part of the park, because they're getting it through a parks grant. So that's what they're asking of us.
And Mr. Boyd shared that to us in his update. I don't know, the ones that didn't see it or hadn't received it, they're saying here athletic fields, play courts such as tennis and pickleball courts, playgrounds, picnic areas and pavilions, trail / walkway construction, and recreation buildings and structures, meaning concessions, restrooms, and maintenance buildings.
For $1.8 million?
And we gave Boone's Creek for them to do theirs $1 million, didn't we?
Well, no, we on playground, we give 3.
No, I meant
But
their
then,
facility.
yes, the playground, we give them 3. For the athletic fields, we give them
Okay,
$1 million.
Okay.
So we're only giving $300,000 for this.
Right.
Right, I think it's,
Good deal.
I think it
Is,
is.
Almost too good to be true.
I kind of, what I'm,
We're going to spend 300 on the playground anyway, so why not take a chance
So-
they're going to get the
Because
grant?
they say, I was, we kind of
Complete
under the impression the 300 was just for the playground only, but it's not.
And I'll take, responsibility for that. We got really deep in discussion about playgrounds, obviously. So I'll take responsibility for us focusing too much on playgrounds. But as you can see, it's our part, it's the board, request for the board to commit to $300,000, which would include playgrounds, but obviously includes a lot more.
is our $300,000 for K3 playground, or 5 through 6 playground, like we had at Boone's Creek, 3 different sections of playgrounds? Is that the plan?
All of the playgrounds for the grade levels.
Who determines how much playground equipment is purchased for each playground?
Jonesboro. They're managing the project. And they've done an excellent job of getting input from, the teachers and other school personnel through the whole project.
So do we need a motion for this? I'll make a motion.
No, I'm sorry, we didn't have a motion in second, we're in discussion.
Oh, sorry.
The motion is to spend $300,000 for the playground equipment for the Jonesboro School, contingent upon this grant.
So we go.
Any more discussion?
If they don't get the grant, then where are we? We're not
We're gonna
committing the
spend
money
$300,000
on the playground.
on our playground for that school.
Okay.
That's my thinking.
Mm-hmm. That's
All right.
what we're, that's.
And that's
kinda
gonna
what
be
we're-
for 3 different playgrounds.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting is open. All approved.
Thank you. Next is the renovations of the David Crockett High School Culinary Arts Department. Basically, what we need a motion for is to hire an architect to proceed with that.
I make that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Will that be Lewis Group?
If I can clarify, the Lewis Group has been working on it. We really would like authorization to proceed with the bid, to bring back to the board to actually tell you an amount it would cost.
Okay.
So do I need to name anything?
Any more discussion? Let's vote, please.
It's open. All approved.
Next is the, I'm sorry, did you have
I
something?
said thank you.
Okay. Next is the purchase of 5 propane buses through Bluebird for a total of $672,490. The reason why that's brought back to us is we had a budget of $460,000, and we do have the breakdown of the cost for each bus, propane and diesel. So basically, the cost of the propanes is $134,498 minus the $21,000 grant, which
Per
makes
bus?
per bus, which makes the propane bus $113,498, and the 66 passengers diesels come in at $126,924.
Do we need to make a motion before we discuss? We can discuss. I'll make that the form of motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
So with the motion, are we required to buy 5 propane, or can we divide that and buy 3 propane, 2 diesels, or?
Well, we would act on the direction of the board, but right now, you know, as you see, the cost for the purchase of 5 propanes is $672,490. And Dr. Adams, that does not include the $63,000 in rebates or for the propane?
Yeah, it's 120,000, I think. We're getting $21,000 back per bus.
Yeah.
But that's contingent upon us buying propane. So if you don't buy a
We get
propane
all
bus,
5,
you
we get
don't get the $21,000 rebate.
Is there any specific number of propane buses you have to buy to get the rebate? Or is it just per bus rebate?
Honestly, I would have to go back and look at the grant. We told East Tennessee Clean Fuels that we would buy 5, and so their grant came to us to buy 5. And I'll be honest, I don't know the specifics enough of it in detail if we can go back and adjust that, and if there's a minimum number.
Mr. Hammond?
Just if you know off the top of your head, I don't want to keep everybody here all night. How old is our, or how new is our the latest diesel bus? What's the newest one we have?
Will it be 4 or 5 years old? Because we've been purchasing propanes for 3 years.
You know, Jared, or your
Yeah, I think our last
diesel?
time we bought diesel was probably 2017, 2018 maybe, at the latest.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'd like to amend his motion, if I can get a second, to buy 3 diesels and 2 propanes. And I can't believe I said that. Second.
All right, we have an amendment. We have a motion to the amendment.
Who second that?
Mr. Hammonds. Discussion.
Can I have the prices again on what propane versus the diesel?
Propanes without the rebate is $134,498.
And the rebate
Is
is?
$21,000, which makes them $113,498.
Right.
The diesels are $126,924.
So what are the advantages and disadvantages? I'm sorry, buses is not.
For me, I want to keep a few newer ones for long distance travel. So there's more, and I know we have systems between here and National that would support us, probably propane wise, but I'm thinking long distance just to keep 2 or 3 in, and then just, we've not had the Bluebird, I believe, propane buses long enough to see what type of issues they might have. That's my reading.
Well, I mean, I've said it for the past 5 years, but, oh, yes, you did.
What? I'm sorry, it's got to slip my mind. What's the advantage and disadvantage?
Well, I mean, we're fixing to sue, or I don't know if you call it sue or not, but we're in a pickle with the first of the propane buses that we bought, so, you know, we're asking our money back or new buses won.
Was that our first propanes that we
That's our
bought?
first propane that we bought.
But it was not this brand, right?
No, it's
It's a different brand.
Right, different brand.
So I got a question. What is the price of propane to run these buses versus diesel to run these buses?
Probably a little cheaper.
Propane's a little cheaper.
Probably so.
If my figures are right on what Keith amended to the motion, if we buy 2 propane and 2 diesel, there'll be a total cost of $480,844.
Three diesels.
3 diesels.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3 diesels. 2 propane and 3 diesel?
607, 767.
607 what?
767, but that's with the rebate. I put
Right.
the rebate in there.
That would be $42,000 rebate, right? 21 per.
You already took the rebate
I took
out?
the, yes, I took the rebate out.
The excess we're spending over what we were allotted.
That's what
We're
I'm.
going to go back and ask for that from the funding body, correct?
Yes.
And we would have to make a budget amendment, and they would have to approve the amended 5-year capital plan.
Yeah. On the Central States bid, it says $95,299 for diesel buses. Is there add-ons on top of that? Is that the reason why it goes up to 100 and so?
I haven't seen the figures, I don't know.
On the I don't think that's the same bus model.
It's a 90-passenger diesel bus.
Okay.
This is 66.
It's the third PDF file right there, Sourcewell.
It's a PDF right there.
Is there add-ons on top of that, the reason it's more popular?
Without seeing the spec list, that would be my belief.
You know, Jared?
No, I know that cost was from them being on the co-op, and that says it's a Sourcewell price. I'm not sure when that's from.
Then I think we better wait and look at this at the next workshop. Well, I'm sorry.
We've got a motion and a second.
We're getting 2 different prices. We're looking at 126 versus 95.
Well, it does say 95.
It does.
Now propane is
134, 498.
and then minus
the
21. We're
113.
113, and there's diesels for 95.
And then we were showing the diesels was 126, 924
It's $18,000 difference.
for the Bluebird.
I know, they don't know where this came from.
You want to withdraw your amendment?
As long as he withdraws his motion. Let me put this on the,
Yeah, I withdraw.
Okay.
You withdraw the seconds?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to put this on the workshop?
I make that motion.
We have a
Second.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Possibly we need to start our workshop earlier than what we're planning on.
Yep.
11 a.m.
It's open.
Mr. Adams, can you get clarification on that for us, please?
Yeah, I'm making a note right now.
You're good.
All approved.
Thank you. Next is the update on the modified purchase of the request of the one-ton pickup. I'll let Mr. Boyd go over that because I think he's got some additional information why and how come.
Essentially, the request was to clarify the engine. The engine is a diesel.
7.3.
Yeah. There was some confusion.
Or 6.7. Yeah, 6.7. I'm sorry.
It was a gasoline. The model that we were looking at was a gasoline. And that's really wanted to clarify that it is a diesel.
And the 59,000.
Yes, sir.
22 model.
Well, the feedback from our transportation department in confirming that it was a diesel engine, they requested that we not purchase it.
Lord have mercy. Well, I'm in favor of purchasing it. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Because if we can buy it for $59,000, that's a deal.
But our transportation department does not want that, correct?
They wanted the gas, what was understood.
They prefer gasoline engines. But, you know, again, the need is there and this is equipped. Dr. Adams, were you able to confirm, is it still available?
The one that they quoted us is not there anymore, but they said they had another one exactly the same, it's just a different color.
So we're not too discouraged by the color. We can proceed with purchase if the board approves.
Right.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
They will drive the diesel though, right? If it's purchased.
They'll use the piece of equipment.
Versus
sir.
wall.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a good, that diesel particular 6.7 motors are very good. I don't
You
think
got
they'll have a problem.
Very good.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, please.
Could you repeat
Huh?
that?
The motion was to purchase the diesel at $59,145.
Thank you.
All approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is update on the propane buses. Mr. Boyd.
Yes, sir, just it's continuing to be a discussion that involves the board's attorney with representatives from the manufacturer and vendor. Dr. Adams also is looped in on that. We continue to ask for some response from them. A response that we have requested is either a replacement of the buses that we've been having issues with, or a full refund for all of the buses, and they come pick them up. That's what we've requested. We're still waiting a response.
They emailed me back Friday to say they're still formulating their response.
So we should have some definite by our workshop.
Well, we hope so.
Hopefully.
I mean, I think that's a reasonable expectation that we should have of the company. Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is the MOU with Crossroads Christian Church regarding the parking lot adjacent to Daniel Boone. I have been in touch with Mr. Bennett. He has drawn up some papers and it is in the process of them reviewing. So as of tonight, we have nothing to present by what the church has agreed to or not agreed to. So basically what I'm suggesting, if once we get the paper for our review, is put it on our budget for next year, not doing it this year. So we can budget the cost of that.
You need that in the form of a motion?
No, I just
information.
Just information.
Is this involving helping them repay? or-
That's the gravel part of their parking lot that we use during fall season. And then last is our legislative update, Mr. Boyd.
Yes, through the discussion of the board and around the already passed legislation which has been referred to as the third grade retention law. Real quickly, what that is, of course, effective this year with this year's third grade class, students that on the TCAP ELA portion of the state assessments, students that do not meet expectation and are either in a category of approaching, which is below expectation for third grade in ELA, or below that is actually identified as below. So students that are in a category of approaching and below are subject to retention unless they do certain things. So if they're in the category of approaching, then they would be required to go to summer school and have satisfactory attendance and progress, and then they would move, on to fourth grade without being subject to retention. Or the parents could choose that they don't go to summer school, and then they would be assigned a tutor during their fourth grade year. And so they would be promoted and be assigned a tutor and have tutoring throughout the school year. Any student that's below, most any student, there are some exceptions, that's below would have to do both to be promoted to the fourth grade. Summer school and a tutor in the fourth grade. The exceptions are students that are on an IEP, have an identified disability, that are a student of English as a second language, their second year or newer. They would not be subject to the retention law, or a student that had previously been retained prior to third grade.
So has this passed, or is this still in?
So it is law. It became law in January 2021, but it was effective this school year. And of course, in the General Assembly right now, there's several bills and several boards that have passed resolutions to express basically support for changing what was passed in January 2021 specific to the retention. So, Mr. Master, would you want to read or would you want me to read the resolution? Okay, thank you.
Probably some stuff on there I can't even pronounce.
So based on the discussion of the board, and absolutely, of course, all of you can add to those concerns, but what I understood the concerns and what we've been dealing with our teachers and families as we've sent out letters identifying third grade students that might right now be at risk of possibly not meeting the third grade expectations on TCAP, that we're trying to answer questions. And the main concerns are simply retention as a requirement without any flexibility. The law is pretty clear. If they don't meet that expectation, then they have those choices that I've shared just a second ago, or they're retained. There are provisions in the law that says that parents or the guardian can appeal, but that appeal is very narrow on what can be approved. Even though it is a local decision, anything that we do will be looked at closely by the State Department and could be subject to being overturned. So we'd want to be very specific and consistent with our appeals. And then also a very tight window after the school year ends and before summer school, or right when summer school starts, students that are in the approaching category can take a retest of the TCAP, a modified version. If they are successful on that, then they would not be subject to the law. They would just be promoted to fourth grade. So there's two options for parents and students, but again, they're very tight. The main concern that I hear from this board and other boards and educators is the lack of local decision making and the family involvement in the decision in whether or not a student is retained, in third grade. That should be a discussion with the family, the educators that work closely with the family, and quite honestly should be heavily directed by the governance of the elected body of the school board, of the school system, which is all of you. So that's the main concern is the lack of recognition that the local boards of education and the school system should have a greater role in making these decisions with the families that they serve. So quickly reading all these whereases. So whereas the role of the Washington County Board of Education is defined in Board Policy 1.101, which includes striving to provide the best educational opportunities possible for all children. And whereas during the 2021 first extraordinary session, the Tennessee General Assembly adopted Public Chapter Number 1, now codified as Tennessee Code Annotated 49-6-3115, which provides in pertinent part that beginning with the 22-23 school year, a student in 3rd grade shall not be promoted to the next grade level unless the student is determined to be proficient in English language arts based on the student achieving a performance level rating of on track or mastered on the ELA portion of the student most recent TCAP or Tennessee Comprehensive Assessment Program, which is TCAP test. And whereas the Washington County Board of Education believes that retention decisions regarding children should be research-based, informed by multiple data sources, and include parent input. And whereas the Tennessee State Board of Education Promotion and Retention Policy 3.300 lists a minimum of factors to be considered when identifying students for retention, including, number 1, the student's ability to perform at the expectations of the current grade level standards. Number 2, the results of local assessment, screening, and monitoring tools. Number 3, state assessments as applicable. Number 4, the overall academic achievement of the student. 5, the student's likelihood of success with more difficult material if promoted to the next grade. 6, the student's attendance records. And 7, the student's social and emotional maturity. And whereas the same Tennessee State Board of Education policy notes that retention shall be considered only when it is in the best interest of the student. And whereas retention may have adverse effects on students, including those with disabilities and at-risk students, and whereas other states that have adopted legislation regarding the retention of 3rd grade students have included a provision allowing school districts to promote students not proficient in ELA as measured by the standardized test based on the school district's data demonstrating an understanding of ELA via alternative knowledge assessments. Now therefore be it resolved on this day, the 7th day of February 2023, that the Washington County Board of Education urges the General Assembly to amend Tennessee Code Annotated 49-6-3115 to allow school districts to make retention decisions for all students based upon the totality of data, discussions among stakeholders, and the expertise of education professionals regarding the best interests of each student.
Well said.
Good. Very good.
Ms. Huxley?
You want to make the motion? Yeah, you're the one who brought it up last meeting.
Would you entertain the
Yes,
motion?
that's what I need.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt and publicize to everyone that needs it publicized to this 3rd grade retention resolution showing that our school board of Washington County, Tennessee, this is how we feel.
Second.
Discussion. Can we vote, please, Jennifer?
Voting's open.
Doesn't matter.
Let's
You
just
wrote
do
a
it.
heck of a resolution, I'll just tell you.
I mean, it just. All approved.
Thank you. As you indicated in your motion, you know, we will certainly we will share that with on our website with our teachers,
Yes.
our staff, our families, and then also our representatives and senators of this area.
Thank you. Question.
Yes.
As far as sending it out to teachers or whatever, how is that done? Can there be an individual group email that goes to every employee that says this? Or do they have to go to our website and read it?
No, when I say we share it with our teachers, I mean, we have a district email for our employees that, you know, most commonly is used during inclement weather.
Right.
But we use it for other communication reasons, and this would be one of them.
Okay, good.
We'll send it to it's our all employee email list.
I just pray that they'll amend this law.
You know, certainly there's a lot of discussion, and that's another item that's on the agenda next, other, and anything else the board would like to discuss at this point. But I will say, you know, with it ongoing, there's several bills that have been introduced, and we'll see, what direction they take. Many are to modify the law in alignment with what the board has passed as a resolution, or very close to. And of course, many other things and topics that they have posed. So we'll just continue to monitor legislation, and if you are going and you have a chance to talk to legislators in Nashville, but locally too, it's always a good practice.
Who all is going to the legislative?
I think all of us. I know you said you could. Oh, you're not going, okay. Okay.
Well, I would like for you all to support, do you think that free lunch is going to happen for the state of Tennessee?
I mean, that is one of the bills that has been introduced.
And I'd like for you all to, which I've done, talk to Rebecca and them about it, but, need to support that.
And also on that, Mr. Hammond, you want to update us a little bit on next week, what we have or may not have?
Yeah, right now, unless we go down Tuesday or really early Wednesday morning, there's a lot of committee meetings. Representative Peaks has one at 1:30 on Wednesday, one at 3:30. Don't know how long those will be. Rusty has afternoon meetings. I can try and shoot for us going to Nashville, maybe taking the east, since we're not going to be a block away as normal. But I'll know more tomorrow. And the House Education Committee meeting meets at 1:30 tomorrow, the Senate at 3. So they'll start dissecting and debating. And Rusty says that probably won't know more about the educational issues towards 1st of March.
And I think that you had said maybe you'd like to have a meeting with us like we did.
Well, he discussed, he brought up, see, we could also, I mentioned Thursday morning, but they have session Thursday morning, and usually they're in a hurry to get back home. But Rusty, like the meeting we had here, that's just talking to him, I've not mentioned that to him and Rebecca. And sometime in March, because they know more what's what.
Coming down.
I do think David Hawk's bill may have a problem passing the Senate. So I don't know if we need to send our resolution to every senator. Maybe there's 33 of them.
Last I heard, it was in like a 5 between 1 and 10. If you heard anything different,
But I mean, it's 50-50 or
yeah.
I'm also concerned about a Senate bill by Senator Lundberg about ending class size limits, and I think that's going to be.
Annette,
So
can
I
you put
have
some
you give
light
us
on
the
that?
update on that. Okay.
I have talked to several people in Nashville. They do not seem to think that that will hold a candle because it is more geared towards CTE than it is our younger students. So they're waiting to see when it goes through committee and how many amendments are put on those. And it could possibly turn and be a better thing for CTE if we hold off making resolutions on that right now. So we're looking to see which way it's gonna.
So those of you going can check on that.
It's gonna flow, and Tim Hicks is on the educational committee, and
I've already talked to him.
so you know more than I do about
The
it.
lawmakers think that's a good thing, turning it back to the local. I will tell you that.
Yes, but my understanding from everything I've read, it stems from a CTE class over some students who did not get into the CTE class because of a maximum, and the CTE teacher said that he could handle more students than that because it was, I don't know the whole specifics, but from my understanding, it stems from a CTE position, which is totally different than kindergarten.
I don't know where TSBA stands on that.
I talked to Ben Torres today, and he's watching it because it can be detrimental to our little kids, but it can be good for CTE. So
A little bit of common sense. CTE is dangerous, okay? You don't want a lot of kids in a CTE class. Nope. I don't want to whatever it is, but
I think too, absolutely, I'm not, I understand why the maximums are there. CTE has been maxed out at 25. And even in some cases, in some shop classes, shop environments, that's questionable if you have 25. what I would be interested to learn is if truly the intent of the law would be to give local boards the control. And if so, then you all would have the opportunity to say, we're either going to adopt what was in place previously, the different breakdowns by grade band, or we're going to put in place some local expectations, and those are going to be our class size maximums, and it'll be our policy. And so if that's the case, I'm less concerned about it, but I always am suspicious of those discussions and the direction they can go.
When I was saying that about the lawmakers, they think boards are going to be for it for that reason, because it's more control. But they also remind me at the end of the day, we're still accountable to the state standards.
Of course.
So it's,
right.
I'm not worried about this board. Actually, I'm not worried about any board.
Right. I'd worry about it. There's a lot of other, like Ms. Buchanan pointed out, there's always a lot of other discussions going on behind the bill.
And so,
Okay, just a reminder, of course, you got next week, February 15th through 17th, and then our meeting / workshop on the 21st. And before you leave, I will need everyone to sign the resolution we just passed. And to end our meeting, I would like to thank Dr. Craig Shepard from Greenville City and Mr. Tom Hager for Johnson City. We really appreciate you coming today.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Did we do a good job?
Yeah. You talk too long.
I'm gonna get my point across. I don't care.
Meeting adjourned.
Hey, if everybody